Hello, stranger. It's been 8 years, but I'm back. That's what I get for laughing. First of all though, I must know, are any of you from 8 years ago still around? Let me know in the comments below. How you doing? It's nice to see ya. Today, my darlings, I've got a very simple video for you today. It is a chit chat, get ready with me, where I tell you where I've been the last 8 years, what I'm up to, and where I'm going next. And we will be creating this kind of euphoria, but make it spooky kind of vibe, using the Sample of Beauty Neon Grunge palette, which looks like this. Not sponsored, I just thought I'd give them a shout out because they seem to be a new and upcoming brand and they're very good. So my darlings, if you want to know where I've been and where I'm going, stay tuned. Or if you can't be asked, you can always just skip along with the chapters down at the bottom. Skip straight ahead, darling. No one's stopping you. I forgot to hit record. We are off to a great start. So I suppose we should probably go back 8 years ago. Picture it. I was 21 years old-ish, full of innocence, full of life, and it's all gone wrong. Oh no! Back when I last was properly posting YouTube content was around 8 years ago, and way back then I had just started my drag career, and initially when I first started drag I had no idea that I would end up actually performing in drag, because when I started doing drag I never really actually had any intention on really going out and performing. I think it was more just the looks part of it, and I was considered at the very beginning a looks queen somehow. I think the last regular video I posted was possibly a Gaga recreation from I think the Joanne era, so that's how long ago we're talking. And while I've posted the odd video here and there, and of course my shorts content as well, I've never really fully made a return, but I feel like now's the right time to do that. I do feel a bit rusty, to say the least. But yes, to tie that back in with my story, I basically got too busy to be making content anymore. So I feel like the YouTube space has changed a lot, and I feel like I didn't really know when my footprint would fit back into that, because I was always the traditional, and among one of the first way back when, people that focused on character, special effects, makeup and creating those sorts of videos, but they don't really do so well anymore, so I sort of needed to find a way to move past that and move on to the next stage. But I do feel like my return to YouTube is going to be a lot more based on my bigger costume projects that I'm now doing. I'm currently working on a series called Scream Queens, in which I take my favourite horror characters and turn them into fierce drag looks. I'm posting updates over on my TikTok and on my shorts here, and at the end of each part of the project I'm going to be doing a documentary style long form video about each section. The first character in that project is Chica from Five Nights at Freddy's. So we are currently making a drag Chica look, including a fully working animatronic cupcake, which is part 1. But no spoilers, I'm not saying any more about that, you're just going to have to wait and see for all the surprises along the way. So make sure you are subscribed to stay tuned. Yes, I'm not sure if I've already said this, I don't feel like my YouTube return is necessarily imminent. It's not going to be weekly hour-long videos, it is going to be quality over quantity. This early on, and with the nature of the projects I'm working on, it's very difficult to confine myself to an upload schedule currently. However, I do feel like Sunday is going to be my upload day. I will be continuing to post my TikTok content over here on Shorts for those of you that aren't necessarily on TikTok, or you just want to watch it again on another platform and support me. But now we must go back to the story about where I've been. That's better, I knew there was something off about the lighting. I hadn't blacked out the sides of the room, so everything looks a little bit better now. So 8 years ago, when I left you all, I just started my drag career and had started working for a company called Glitterbomb, and they ran a club night up in Canterbury called the same thing. It was kind of at a time where the world was really obsessed and in love with drag, and it was a massive growing movement, if you like. It was really starting to facilitate a queer community in Canterbury, and it was wonderful to see it grow like it did. And I was there basically every week. I was basically busy 7 days a week at one point, because I would work 3 days a week in one of the supermarkets, and then I would spend 2 days up in Canterbury, which would then be 5 days, and then the other 2 days I tended to be working on the next look, number, whatever it was for that next week.
No sleep. Bus. Club. Another club. Another club.
Which obviously left me no time to do any form of video content, so that's kind of why that stopped. But I was very, very lucky to work at Glitterbomb during that time. I got to work with a whole host of Rue girls, various different celebrities over the years. It's been fantastic. That's no longer a weekly thing, but that's a COVID thing. But we'll get there, we'll get there. Working at Glitterbomb, I really started to hone my craft, get back onto the stage like I did when I was younger, and start to mix that with the makeup talent that I'd been refining over the last few years. While working at Glitterbomb, I met my best drag sister of all time, and probably will be my best drag sister of all time, Victoria Carriage. We had the most amazing on and off stage relationship. We were like a pair of old women. We really became almost a bit of a double act, and went to various different places over the country. We got to perform at Birmingham Pride. I think the first year they ever did a lip sync stage, I think we got to perform on that. We did multiple years of Canterbury Pride together. We've been here, there, everywhere, photo shoots, you name it, we did it. During this time, I also heard about a competition in London called Not Another Drag Competition, which was basically like live action Drag Race, for those that aren't really aware. It's a drag competition. It ran weekly, and there'd be a different challenge every week with a different performance mediums. There'd be like Snatch Game, Look Week, Lip Sync Week, Live Vocals Week, Comedy Week, etc. And that gave me the opportunity to work with loads of performers from all over the country that I'd never worked with before, and hear from industry professionals and get feedback on my work, which is again something I never really had before. I genuinely can't remember where I placed in that anymore. I think I was 4th out, but I can't remember exactly. But I did win Miss Congeniality, much to some of my friends' dismay and surprise. Yeah, that timeline's not linear, it's all sort of muddled around, but for a good few years we'd be doing loads of drag, a little bit of normal work, but my week consisted of basically a 7-day week of rinse and repeat, which I was thrilled by. I loved it. And then you knew it was coming. It's COVID time. I was still working at Glitterbomb at the time. I remember we did the last one before all the lockdowns happened. I remember it was still a very novel thing. I think it was a week or two before it really fired up. We were laughing and joking about it, not realising what the future had in store for us and what the world would become. But that happened. Obviously everything locked down. All the live entertainment venues closed. We couldn't do drags. I was considered a key worker because I was still working in the supermarket at the time, so I did the natural thing and just bumped up my hours there and took a little bit of a back seat from drag. I did some bits because digital drag was starting to become a thing. I did some sort of Instagrammy things, but not like massively caning it out. I was using it as a bit of a break from it all. Then TikTok became a thing. I didn't jump on the TikTok bandwagon straight out the bat. I was there, but I didn't have much of a presence, to be completely honest. I really hadn't developed, even though I've been doing drag for a number of years at this point, I really hadn't discovered too much of a voice in the sense of the drag character and personality. So I started doing some makeup content on there, but by the time I caught up and worked out how to use the app, of course, the ocean was saturated, and it's taken me until now to really put my focus back onto it, but I digress. So as digital drag was becoming more of a thing, it kind of sparked something in me from the old days where I used to make a lot of YouTube content and would do lip syncs or music video style things, and I was like, oh, I like a bit of this. So I really got into the digital drag, and I think most of my digital drag performances are still up on my drag performance playlist, but I can't lie, I'm thrilled with some of the performances and digital drag creations that I came out with during lockdown. I think I absolutely smashed it out of the park. The knowledge from years of video editing and filming certainly helped, but it worked amazingly. I'm just going to sort an eyeliner situation out and I will be right back. So I think my eyeliner is sisters and not twins, but that's fine. We're just going to move on and ignore that. So yes, after performing in several digital drag shows, I suppose you could say I caught the bug and I wanted to host one for myself. So I created this idea called Luna's Drag Macabre. And the concept of the show was similar to that of Elvira's movie Macabre, but this was a drag competition for digital drag performances. I was living on a boat at the time with my dad, so filming wasn't the easiest thing in the world to do. But I persevered. I created a pilot episode. There were 6 or 8 contestants and they all created a digital drag performance based around their favourite horror film. The winner of that basically got to perform the lead slot at Tunbridge Wells Pride. So once that was all out of the way, I kind of shelved the whole idea. By now lockdown was going on and starting to get to me, and at this point I decided it would be a great idea to go and study nursing at university. So off I went to uni. I moved away into my own little student studio flat. I swapped my supermarket uniform for scrubs, but unfortunately lockdown was still kind of a thing, kind of still happening at this point. Drag events still weren't happening and 99% of my uni course was online, so I find myself stuck in this student flat with nothing better to do. So that's when I came up with the idea to create a whole series out of Luna's Drag Macabre and make it a whole damn season long. This time with a focus on the topic of mental health with the title Inner Demons. I really grew the idea from the pilot episode, so this time there were a hell of a lot more contestants from all over the world, not just the UK. And there were more prizes, there were guest judges, and there was twists and turns along the way as you would expect from a reality show. I digitally produced that show completely from my student studio flat, which looking back now is wild because that whole flat was no bigger than this room. The entire season and the pilot episode are still up on my YouTube channel if you wanted to see them. You just have to go and find them on there. I do recommend it, it's a good watch, but I really would like to remaster them one day and just make the editing that much better, adjust the sound levels and get it to the level that it could have been had I not had to rush a lot of it in the end. So at this point the world had started to come back to life, and I suppose you could say the new normal was now in effect, and the nightlife scene started up again, but because I was now doing this nursing course, that was taking up a vast majority of my time. So I was doing gigs, but I was just doing gigs here and there, Halloween, Pride events, things like that. And while I was studying my course, I feel like this is the time in which life caught up with me. The long and short of it is, I basically had a bit of a breakdown. I think it was for a number of reasons. I think the whole 7-day working cycle that I was starting earlier had started years ago as a coping mechanism to run away from everything that was going on. And I think I'd be working that way for so long, just doing the thing. COVID forced me to slow down, and then when the world all of a sudden wanted to go 150 mile an hour again, my body was like, whoa, this is far too much. So yeah, I didn't officially take a break from drag, but mentally I took a break from drag. I spent some time reflecting. I took a year out of uni. I resat my final year. But that brings us to where we are today. I got myself medicated, I got myself through therapy, and I got myself where I needed to be. Before I talk anymore, I'm just going to get this foundation on, otherwise it's going to take me forever. That kind of brings us to the here and now, really. I am very pleased to say I've now finished and graduated from university. Sort of throughout my last year of uni, I dipped my toe back in the waters of making content again over on the TikTok place to begin with, and I feel like it's just been a bit of a natural evolution to end up back here. The last year of doing uni on TikTok, really, I think I've massively grown myself as a content creator and as a drag queen in the last year. You know, I'm getting back into learning what works content-wise and how to edit things and how to film things nicely, and I feel like my skills are ever improving, which is a great thing. I think it must have been the beginning of last year I also decided to do a live show every Saturday night on TikTok called the Lestrange show, that was basically a show for those that can't be asked, can't afford, or simply can't go out on the weekend. And I would bring the party club vibes and drag wittiness to your hand, I suppose. And through doing that, I was able to build up my account to over 10k, which is wild. So thank you all for joining me. I hope that I was able to bring a little bit of entertainment to your day, or give you a smile whenever you were feeling down. So you're probably wondering, because I know I certainly am, where do we go from here? As I touched on earlier, my heart really isn't in making makeup tutorials anymore. I'm definitely going to be doing some documentary type videos of my making and creating looks and things, because that's kind of where my heart's at the moment. I'm kind of in a place where I just want to be creative and refine my creative skills. I'm also toying with the idea of potentially doing some gaming videos in the future, potentially playing some FNAF with you all, and whatever other games. I know there's a Saw game coming out, I'll be curious to try that. Probably horror games, but gaming content could be on the cards. But other than that, I'm willing to take suggestions, so if there is any content that you would like to see from me specifically, please do leave it in the comments and I will have a little look. I'm going to put a few finishing touches on this look and we'll see where we're at. I will see you all very soon for the very next video, which will be the cupcake build video. So until then, my darlings, don't do anything I wouldn't, stay spooky, and I'll see you soon.